Today's objective is to multiply exponential expressions and simplify completely. So we have 2x to the negative second, y to the negative third, over 4x to the fourth, y cubed, all to the negative second, times 3x to the negative fourth, y cubed, over 4x to the negative 1, y squared, all squared. So if we start out with the first set, then we're going to have 2 to the negative second, x to the fourth, y to the sixth, over 4 to the negative second, x to the negative 8, y to the negative 6. So now we have the second set. We have 3 squared, x to the negative 8, y to the 6, over 4 squared, x to the negative 2, y to the fourth. Now we start to simplify. So 2 to the negative second is going to be moved to the bottom, and 2 to the second is what? 4. Okay, x to the fourth stays on top, as does the y to the sixth. Now we come down to the bottom part. 4 to the negative second is going to go to the top and become 4 squared, which is 16. Your x to the negative 8 is also going to go to the top, become x to the 8th, and your y to the negative 6 is also going to go to the top and become y to the 6th. Now to simplify the second part, 3 squared is going to stay on top, and 3 squared is 9. X to the negative 8 is going to move to the bottom and become x to the 8th. Y to the 6th stays on top. 4 squared is now on the bottom, and it stays on the bottom because it's got a positive exponent. X to the negative second is going to move to the top and become x squared. And your y to the fourth is already positive, so it stays on the bottom. Now we simplify even more. 16 over 4 is equal to 4. X to the fourth and x to the 8th become x to the 12th. Y to the 6th and y to the 6th become y to the 12th. So you should have 4x squared, x to the 12th, y to the 12th. So now for the second part, 9 over 16 does not reduce. So we keep the 9 over the 16. Y to the 6th and x squared don't change for right now. But you have x to the 8th on bottom and x squared on top. So the one on the bottom is x to the 8th and it's bigger, so the x's are going to stay on the bottom. And 8 minus 2 is what? 6. So that means there's 6 more x's on the bottom than there are on the top. Now for your y's, you have y to the 6th on top and y to the 4 on the bottom. So where's your y's going to go? On the top. And how many more y's are there on top than there are on the bottom? 2. So the second part is 9y squared over 16x to the 6th. Now we can look to see if anything will cancel out when we cross multiply, and it turns out it does. 4 goes into 16 4 times, so that part will cancel out. Now we can go ahead and we can multiply across. So we get 9 x to the 12th, y to the 14th, over 4 x to the 6th, which simplifies to 9 over 4. You have no y's on the bottom, so the y's stay on top. And your x's, you have 12 on top and 6 on bottom. So there's 6 more on top than there are on the bottom. So it's 9x to the 6th, y to the 14th over 4. So we have 2x to the negative second, y cubed, over 3x cubed, y to the 5th, all squared, times 4x to the negative 2, y to the 5th, 3 over 3, x cubed, y to the negative second, all to the negative first. So we start out by squaring everything that's in the first one. So the top part becomes 2 squared x to the negative 4 y to the 6th over 3 squared x to the 6th, y to the 10th, times, now everything in this one goes to the negative first power, 4 to the negative first, x squared, y to the negative 5th, over 3 to the negative first, x to the negative 3rd, y to the 2nd. So now we simplify. We get 4. The x to the negative 4th goes down to the bottom. The y to the 6th stays on top. The 3 squared stays on bottom, so that becomes 9. We have x to the 6th, which stays on the bottom, and y to the 10th, which stays on the bottom, times. Now we have 4 to the negative 1st, which goes down to the bottom. X squared stays on top. Y to the negative 5th goes down to the bottom. We have 3 to the negative 1st, which goes to the top, so that becomes 3. X to the negative 3rd moves to the top. And y to the 2nd stays on the bottom. Now we simplify again. 4 over 9. Our x is simplified to x to the 10th. There are more y's on the bottom than there are on the top, so the y stays on the bottom. And there's 10 on the bottom and 6 on the top, so how many more are on the bottom than on the top? 4. Times, keep the 3 over 4, becomes x to the 5th, y to the 7th, because x squared times x cubed becomes x to the 5th, and y to the 5th times y squared becomes y to the 7th. Now we look to see if anything will reduce if we cross multiplied. 4 is on top and there's a 4 on bottom, so those would cancel out. Also, there's a 3 on top and a 9 on the bottom, which becomes a 3. So now we multiply across and we get x to the 5th over 3, x to the 10th, y to the 11th, which will simplify to 1 over 3, x to the 5th, y to the 11th.